Hey folks, Real Honesty with Jarmuthlin. I'm Jarmuthlin. This is yet another reflection show, a 10-year reflection on the 2007 Bound for Glory pay-per-view that TNA Impact Wrestling put on. And I always put TNA Impact Wrestling because at the time they were known as TNA. Should have dropped that name right away. And of course Vince Russo had to, come up with a name like that because that's just the kind of mindset he had. But also, this is actually probably, if not my favorite Bound for Glory pay-per-view, in my top 3 for sure. But I've been going since 2005. The one edition last year, 2016 edition, wasn't all that good. And I don't know, I'm recording this as of October 11th. These will go up on Saturday, the 14th. So whenever you're watching these, I don't know if I'm going to watch the new Bound for Glory pay-per-view. It's going to come up in early November. I don't know if I'm going to want to bother spending the money on it, and I'm not going to stream it. I'm going to pay the money if I'm going to watch it. I just don't know if I want to devote the time. But I do want to talk about a couple of my favorite Bound for Glory shows. This will be a 10-year reflection. If you guys are watching the other one, you will notice that I have a 5-year reflection on the 2012 edition, which was also a good one. But anyway, 2007, in Atlanta, hotbed for wrestling, Georgia Championship Wrestling, of course, where WCW was headquarters for a while when Ted Turner had the company and Jimmy Crockett was producing out of a small studio. The, World Championship Wrestling TV before Ted Turner bought the company, and then that was still happening, and Atlanta's just a hotbed for wrestling. And actually, this was really, really nice because they got a really good crowd there. I don't know if it was full capacity for the pay-per-view, but 4,000 fans for a company that was struggling to have a lot of live events, even at this point, even with the talent they had, because of marketing, because Dixie was a goddamn idiot, they drew a really good crowd here and had a really good card. Had 9 matches. Not everything was perfect. Don't get me wrong. Not everything was perfect here. Because you had some weird booking stuff. But it opened with maybe the best opening match in Bound for Glory history. And I know that it's only been since 2005, so we're at 11, 12 editions of it. But the Latin American Exchange, Homicide and Hernandez, my opinion, the better version of LAX. This new version hasn't really grown on me, but that's not to say the talent isn't very good. Versus Triple X, which was Senshi, of course, Low Key, and Elix Skipper, because Christopher Daniels is in another match, so he couldn't be part of this. And it was a Tag Team Ultimate X match to determine the number 1 contender for the World Tag Team Championship. And for those who aren't familiar with the Ultimate X, there's pillars or this kind of stuff, or metal stuff, or poles that have ropes that X across the ring, and there's either a title hanging in the middle, or there's like an X, or there's something, or a contract where somebody can get a future title shot. And the Ultimate X concept got watered down. In fact, I actually kind of wish it would make a comeback, because I think this new creative staff could actually make it work, especially if you let Sanjay Dutt book it, because Dutt knows what he's doing. But anyway, this was a really, really fun opener. It's great tag team wrestling, border toss by Hernandez throwing Homicide to the outside, Senshi hitting some really good moves, including that double stomp, Skipper just being athletic, the athletic marvel that he was, and I'm sure still is. I don't know if Skipper is still wrestling. I think it's a shame WWE never snatched him up. I mean, maybe they tried, I don't know. But after he left Impact Wrestling, it's a shame they never tried to snatch him up. Because Skipper's damn good. A damn good talent. I mean, obviously right now I don't know if it would necessarily be the best idea to sign him, but for a period of years I'm like, boy, Skipper, promos may not be his strong suit, but his athletic ability is tremendous. This was a good opening tag match though. LAX won, as they should have. There was no reason for Senshi and Skipper to win, because the Triple X reunion was short-lived. I think it was I want to say it was in like June or July of that year. I think it was about June. And it was over soon after this, because people left the company. I think Daniels was the only one that was still around. And then even he left the company until sometime in 2009. But good opening tag match for sure. Used the Ultimate X concept and set up really well. And then a match that was kind of stupid. and not because of the people involved. But you had a fight for the right reverse battle royal. 15 guys start on the outside. The first 8 that get into the ring win, or advance to round 2, which is then an over the top rope elimination battle royal. And however everybody's eliminated determines their placement in a tournament to earn a title shot. Right. It had some good talent. Eric Young, and I'm going to go through the list here. Eric Young, Robert Roode, James Storm, B.G. James, Kip James, B.G. James, Road Dogg, Kip James, Billy Gunn, for those of you maybe that aren't familiar with the names from Impact Wrestling. Lance Hoyt, who was Vance Archer. We know Lance Hoyt, great wrestler. Jimmy Rave, Chris Harris. I think this is one of Chris Harris's last pay-per-view appearances. For Impact Wrestling, at least. Then Chris Sabin, Alex Shelley, Kaz, Petey Williams, Junior Fatu, Rikishi, Havoc, who was Johnny Devine, Shark Boy, and Sanjay Dutt. Now, the guys that ended up making it to the whole thing, it was the concept just was not good, and not for the talent involved. The talent involved were fine. The concept just wasn't good because there were a lot of guys trying to stand around. Because obviously everybody's booked. We already know the guys that are going to be in the ring. So let's just do that. And it was rubbish. It really was. I don't know. It just, you had the guys that were eliminated. You had the 8 guys that got in the ring, which were Junior Fatu, Robert Roode, Kaz, Alex Shelley, Eric Young, Sabin, Lance Hoyt, and James Storm. And everybody got eliminated, fairly quickly. Like, Junior Fatu was the second one eliminated. And he was part of the tournament, and then he was written out of the tournament, I guess, because he demanded more money. He was this and, one other appearance on Impact, I think, are the only appearances he made. He either demanded more money or, I don't know, catering. He ate the catering, amount, and they were like, well, hey, you're not being paid just to eat. Kidding. I just don't understand why Rikishi was there, because he was way, way too big. I mean, he was ginormous at that point. He was at least 40 pounds heavier than he was at his biggest in WWE. And that's part of the reason why they got rid of him in 2004 is because of his weight issues. Eric Young ends up winning this whole thing. It wasn't... The over-the-top rope battle royal concept is not my problem. It's just people getting into the ring and staying around and kind of brawling. Wait, I got to stop this guy for the spot. It was a mess. But Eric Young did pin Bobby Roode, because that was the final part of it when it got down to 2 guys with pinfall or submission. And it was kind of ridiculous. I mean, I give credit to everybody that was involved for doing the best they could, but it was not a good match. And AJ Styles and Tomko defeated Team Pacman, which was Ron Killings, aka R-Truth. And even though he achieved really good success in TNA wrestling, Impact Wrestling, and then Consequences Creed, who was, Xavier Woods. You had Adam Pacman Jones at ringside. He was not involved in it because he had no contact clause because of the Tennessee Titans, even though he's suspended for the full season because of that whole strip club shooting. Apparently, Adam Jones, and this is a note I found in a couple articles that I read, that Adam Jones had bought a bunch of tickets with the idea to give them away to a school or two in Atlanta, which I thought was a really, really nice gesture. That was a really nice gesture. Yeah, he was kind of like a court jester. But anyway, really nice gesture by him, if true. I mean, I don't know if it's true, I don't know if it's not. But Styles and Tomko were great. Creed did fine, but the setup, the gimmick did him no favors, though he's obviously a tremendous wrestler. Killings, it's no wonder that Killings left the company soon after this. It was... Styles and Tomko winning needed to happen. I mean, it wasn't a bad match. At least Jones wasn't involved in the actual wrestling because he couldn't be because of the no contact clause. But he did try the whole make it rain thing, and Earl or whoever the referee was, I think it might have been Earl, was trying to pick up the money and didn't make the pinfall count because Pacman was trying to keep his team as champions. That didn't work though. And, Styles and Tomko were the new tag team champions. That was a good result. And then Jay Lethal defeated Christopher Daniels, very underrated X Division title match. Lethal had become the champion, beating Kurt Angle for it at No Surrender the previous month, which No Surrender 2007, pretty underrated. And the reaction everybody had when Jay Lethal beat Kurt Angle was absolutely tremendous. And it was, it showed how Angle was willing to put the right people over. And put, good people over. I mean, Lethal's one guy that Impact dropped the ball on big time. Now, Ring of Honor is doing great things with him. I don't know if he'll ever go to WWE. I mean, that's entirely up to him, or he'd go to Japan. I don't know. But they really dropped the ball with that guy. That's one of the most head-scratching things about Impact is while they use some other talents great, for some reason they dropped the ball with Lethal later in his career. I just don't get it. Because he was money. And he's obviously money. Look what he's doing in Ring of Honor. It was a very underrated match. He hit a nice Lethal combination off the top. And beat Daniels. And that was really cool. And in fact, actually, this might have been Daniels' last appearance with the company. Or at least, he was gone soon after. Because I remember he didn't actually show up until Lockdown 2009. Or shortly before that. But yeah, Lethal won, good stuff. And then the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott, via Team 3D, of course, the Dudley Boys. 2 out of 3 falls tables match. This was supposed to happen earlier in the year, but Steiner suffered a trachea injury in Puerto Rico. And he nearly died. I mean, thank God he didn't. But for what it was, the Steiners at the age they were, and Team 3D were still doing well, but even they were starting to get up there in age and the amount of bumps that they took. Bully Ray's doing just fine now in the brief appearances he has with Ring of Honor. The Steiner brothers did get the win. I thought it was really, really cool. Scott Steiner even broke out the Frankensteiner, which for somebody with his age and the amount of stuff that he took, and I'm sorry, he had to have taken something. I'm not saying roids, but HGH or something, because he got too freakishly big too quickly. It was unnatural. But, good match, crowd pop big. Obviously the Steiners got a big pop, for the whole WCW ties and then being in Atlanta and everything. It was a good tables match for what it was. And then you had, part of the reason that I have this match, or I have this pay-per-view, is one of my favorite Bound for Glories ever. Gail Kim becoming the first ever Knockouts champion. Because, and I'm just going to say this, and this is one thing that some people seem to not understand when it comes to me. Like when I say I appreciate women's wrestling, I talk so much about WWE's women's wrestling, currently. There's great women's wrestling all over the world. In Japan, in Shimmer, even Impact still has some good women's wrestlers. The problem is they don't have enough of them. They decided to load up and start a women's division. And Impact, for a number of months, if not years, were doing better matches than what they were doing in WWE. Because they were allowing the women to go out and do big things. And do great things and have some great, match stipulations. And really go, balls and everything to the wall. And just beat each other up like the men do. The problem is that the women weren't getting paid that much. I don't know if that's still true, but if reports are to be believed, they weren't getting paid much. But, let's talk about the women that were in the gauntlet match. It was 10 women. Miss Brooks, Tracy Brooks, Jackie Moore, Shelly Martinez, who was Ariel in WWE ECW, Awesome Kong, who had a great moment, and they did not include the wardrobe malfunction that she had. Thank God, sorry, just not something I want to see. ODB, Angel Williams, who became Angelina Love, Christy Hemme, Gail Kim, Talia Madison, who became Velvet Sky, and Roxy Laveau. Roxy, who I always thought was very underrated and should have been used a lot better. Whatever. It was good stuff. And Gail being able to get the victory over Roxy Laveau, Awesome Kong looking dominant, Hemme being taken out on a stretcher but not eliminated, built up to Hemme versus Awesome Kong, where Hemme got beat up, did suffer a neck injury, not at the fault of Kong, but just because accidents happen, unfortunately, and Hemme decided to retire from the ring. which is just as well. It extended her career, and she was able to be a ring announcer, and I believe even has a kid or two now, so good for her. I think she said she was going to have, like, did she say she was going to have quadruplets or whatever, or triplets at some point? Yeah. Another story for another day. Gail Kim, though, being Roxy Laveau, no, was it a perfect match? No, but it was given the right amount of time with the entrances. I love Battle Royals and I love tournaments. So this was really nice. I mean, Gauntlet Battle Royal, whatever you want to call it. It was great stuff. And all the women got a chance to shine. Even the ones that were inexperienced. Even the fact Talia Madison, in Velvet Sky, was about the wrestler here that she was before she left, meaning not that good. And sorry, that's just my opinion. She somehow never got that good in the ring. I'd say I hate her. I don't. Same with Angel Williams, Angelina Love. Though she developed a really, really good character. She blocked me on Twitter. I have a pretty good idea why, which I'm not going to say here. I didn't call her anything scandalous. I didn't call her anything horrible. But I'm not surprised. I mean, I can be a little outspoken. Even if I never directly tweet people, I can be seen as a bit of an ass. But I still give all the credit in the world to these women. Good stuff. Gail Kim wins. Samoa Joe defeated Christian Cage. Good stuff. Enjoyed it. This was kind of building up Christian Cage's whole undefeated streak. Like Joe had an undefeated streak. Joe was pissed at the fact that Christian Cage had screwed him out of a couple victories. Matt Morgan was at ringside as a special guest ring enforcer. Christian eventually could not get away. Just couldn't get away, and he finally tapped out to Joe. Well, finally lost to Joe. And that's what needed to happen. There's no reason why Cage should have continued. Joe needed the momentum back, and Cage had plenty of build. He'd been undefeated for nearly 2 damn years, or at least not pinned or submitted, this kind of stuff. It was really bizarre how they did that. I don't know. Then they started to not use Christian all that well, and then I don't blame him for jumping ship back to WWE. Even though he had, in my opinion, he had a better run in Impact Wrestling than he ever had in WWE, at least as a single star. But Joe and Christian Cage created a really good match here. Really enjoyable. Monsters Ball match, 4-way Monsters Ball match. Abyss defeated Raven, Rhino, and Black Rain. Black Rain, of course, Dustin Rhodes. It was fine. It was fine for what it was. The thing is they overdid the whole thing with Abyss taking all these weapons and stuff like that. Now his body's just so beat up and cut up and everything. He just, it's sad. I mean, I give him credit for taking those bumps and everything, but it got to where everybody expected it more than they appreciated it. Or okay, it didn't mean anything. Everybody played the role fine. Abyss got the win. Cool. Abyss had been kind of used as a punching bag here for a bit and had an earlier rivalry with Sting. And had been separated from Father James Mitchell. It was good stuff, and Abyss at least reestablished himself temporarily here. And then Sting defeated Kurt Angle. It was a TNA Heavyweight Championship match, and it was good. It was good stuff. I can't give the biggest props to it. I mean, Angle was clearly the better of the two. Sting was still in really good shape, and of course got a huge pop in Atlanta because he was WCW's stalwart, their big guy, and their main guy. And Sting getting the win didn't shock me. I mean, shenanigans and everything aside, but Sting lost it soon afterwards, and then disappeared from TV. Disappeared from TV a bit because he might have been quitting, because he only had 1-year contracts he signed for a limited number of dates. So he won the championship and then lost it soon afterwards, which was just as well. I mean, Kurt then had the championship for a bit. It was just a way to give Sting a bit of an undefeated streak at Bound for Glory. He actually got to 3-0 before he lost to AJ Styles in 2009. Well, actually, let's see. No, he wasn't part of 05, so 06, 07, yeah, 3-0. So I had to think about it for a second. I was like, oh no, he wasn't part of the 2005 edition. But it was a good edition of Bound for Glory, and you need to have Sting and Kurt Angle as the main guys. You needed to. There was no reason not to have that as the main event. It was the right call, and it was good stuff. The matches were paced well. Even if I didn't care much for the fight for your right concept, I enjoyed the efforts of the talents. And sure, okay, the Monsters Ball match was decent, not great, but decent. But still, every match flowed pretty damn well. And even the ones that sort of missed didn't take away from how this overall card was. So anyway, that's what I got to say about Bound for Glory 2007 10-year reflection. Agree, disagree with what I said. What were your favorite matches from this? What were your favorite matches from TNA Impact Wrestling Bound for Glories from '05 to last year? Do you think the 2017 edition is going to be any good? Anyway, like, share, subscribe. Twitter link in the description. It's been Real Honesty with John Ritlin. I'm John Ritlin. I will see you all soon.